everybody. Welcome back to another Whisper Facts episode, and welcome if this is your very first time here. Today we have a real treat in store because the day has come. It's time to talk all things chocolate. I've had this video planned for a while and I've been looking forward to it as a huge chocolate lover myself. And I'm sure a lot of you guys watching this video are as well. Before we get started, I'd like to ask you to drop a like on the video if you enjoy my content, and consider subscribing as well to help support the channel. Your support is always hugely appreciated, and if you do subscribe, be sure to click the bell to get notified when my videos go live on the channel. Okay, so without further ado, let's dive right into the chocolate facts frenzy as I whisper facts about chocolate. Chocolate is a food product made from roasted and ground cocoa pods that is available as a liquid, solid, or paste, on its own or as a flavouring agent in other foods. The seeds of the cacao tree have an intense bitter taste and must be fermented to develop the flavour. After fermentation, the beans are dried, cleaned, and roasted. The shell is removed to produce cocoa nibs, which are then ground to cocoa mass, unadulterated chocolate in rough form. Once the cocoa mass is liquefied by heating, it is called chocolate liqueur. The liqueur may also be cooled and processed into its two components, cocoa solids and cocoa butter. Baking chocolate, also called bitter chocolate, contains cocoa solids and cocoa butter in varying proportions without any added sugar. Much of the chocolate consumed today is in the form of sweet chocolate, a combination of cocoa solids, cocoa butter, or added vegetable oils and sugar. Milk chocolate is sweet chocolate that additionally contains milk powder or condensed milk. White chocolate contains cocoa butter, sugar, and milk, but no cocoa solids. Alright, so that's a sort of science-based opening paragraph about what chocolate is in its purest form and how it's made, which I think is a good way to open the video before we move on to more fun facts as we progress. Chocolate is one of the most popular food types and flavours in the world, and many foodstuffs involving chocolate exist, particularly desserts, including cakes, pudding, mousse, brownies, and chocolate chip cookies. Many sweets are filled with or coated with sweetened chocolate. Chocolate bars, either made of solid chocolate or other ingredients coated in chocolate, are eaten as snacks. Gifts of chocolate molded into different shapes, such as eggs, hearts, and coins, are traditional on certain Western holidays, including Christmas, Easter, and Valentine's Day. Chocolate is also used in cold and hot beverages, such as chocolate milk and hot chocolate, and even in some alcoholic drinks. I have to say that I love both of those, hot chocolate and chocolate milk. And I particularly enjoy hot chocolate in the winter and chocolate milk pretty much any time of the year, which I still call shocky milk to this day. It's just something that I grew up with, and it just stuck. And I still get funny looks occasionally if I call it that, like I'm 12 or something. So yeah, we have all of the different forms chocolate can come in, and I'm pretty sure that I've had every form there in that list. I'm not overly fond of chocolate mousse or pudding, unless it's a very small slice, because it's typically very rich. I can't have it in large portions, so I'm more than happy with a regular chocolate bar size portion. Or if I'm at a restaurant, I might share a slice of hot fudge cake with someone, as the portions do tend to be a bit much for me on my own. I'm not a huge eater in general. Although cocoa originated in the Americas, West African countries, particularly Ivory Coast and Ghana, are the leading producers of cocoa in the 21st century, accounting for some 60% of the world cocoa supply. That's pretty interesting. I had no previous knowledge that West African countries produced so much of the world's cocoa supply. So there's a good chance if you eat a chocolate bar or some similar product that it started out in Africa. As well as milk, dark and white varieties, there is a rare fourth type known as blonde chocolate. And again, here, I've never heard of this fourth type of chocolate known as blonde chocolate. It's making me think of the color blonde, like maybe something in between milk and white chocolate, a sort of creamy color rather than white, but I'm probably completely wrong in that assumption. I have to admit, I do love white chocolate, especially in the form of a white Magnum bar, if you've ever had one of those. They are amazing. I love them so much. The white chocolate covering the vanilla ice cream, it doesn't get much better than that, in my opinion. A 2013 study found that the smell of chocolate in a bookstore made customers 22% more likely to buy books of any genre, and a whopping 40% more likely to buy cookbooks or romance novels. In 1847, a man named Joseph Fry and his son took cocoa powder, cocoa butter and sugar and pressed it into a bar shape, the very first edible solid chocolate bar in history. 2 years later, John Cadbury introduced his own brand of chocolate bars. Rather than becoming rivals, Fry and Cadbury joined forces to become two of the most important chocolatiers in history. I think Fry's do this bar of chocolate that my granny was very partial to. I think it was called Fry's Chocolate Cream, but that's all chocolate liqueur, meaning it isn't chocolate in the strict sense, but it does contain parts of the cocoa bean, mainly cocoa butter. The Aztecs loved and valued the cocoa bean so highly that they used it as currency during the height of their civilization. A single bar of chocolate can take up to 4 days to produce and perfect. That is quite surprising, really, as long as 4 days. Wow. But hopefully you guys are enjoying the shots of chocolate being made throughout this video. I thought it would be a good addition to the chocolate facts, just to see the process that it goes through and to add something visually appealing throughout the video. I think if the facts don't put you in the mood to go grab some chocolate, then the video most likely will. The largest chocolate bar ever weighed over 5,792 kilograms, was created in the UK in celebration of Thornton's 100th birthday. Chocolate is the only edible substance to melt around 32 degrees Celsius, just below the human body temperature. That's why chocolate melts so well in your mouth and if you hold it in your hand. Yeah, that makes perfect sense, and it really does depend on your temperature. For instance, if I held some chocolate when I'm cold, say in the wintertime, then it's much slower to melt. But in the summertime, when it's hot, it can be pretty rapid to melt. Chocolate is actually good for the brain. It may actually help to slow or even prevent cognitive slowdown and deterioration of the brain. Chocolate milk was invented in Jamaica. Irish botanist Sir Hans Sloane is said to have first mixed chocolate with milk in Jamaica in the early 1700s. Chocolate milk is also an effective post-workout recovery drink. Yeah, I recall a time when I used to do a little bit of home workouts, and my post-workout shake was chocolate flavoured, always chocolate flavoured. It's really my go-to flavour for any kind of shakes, even basic milkshake. It's the only one I really like out of the 4 traditional flavours, I guess, being chocolate, banana, strawberry and vanilla. I'm always going to go for the chocolate flavour every single time. According to the International Cocoa Organization, Europeans account for almost half the world's chocolate consumption. They estimate the average Brit, Swiss or German eat 11 kilograms of chocolate a year. That is a staggering fact. Half of the world's chocolate consumption within Europe. Wow, we really do love our chocolate here, I guess. Chocolate might be able to help you relax. It pretty psycho, and I remember reading this fact as part of the trivia for it, since it was made in black and white, of course, to lower the budget at the time. The blood, therefore, didn't need to be red, it just needed to be dark in nature. It really is a timeless classic, and one that shaped the horror genre, I think. Chocolate contains high levels of a powerful stimulant called theobromine. Theobromine poisoning can cause heart failure, seizures, acute kidney damage, and dehydration. However, to ingest enough theobromine for it to be fatal, you would have to eat about 22 pounds of chocolate, which is the equivalent to 40 bars of dairy milk. M&Ms, believe it or not, were actually invented to prevent melting. Specifically, they were designed for military personnel who would find their treats spoiled all too often. Yeah, that makes sense if you imagine what it feels like to hold an M&M or a similar chocolate sweet. The coating does prevent it from melting. I think my favourite sugar coating chocolate would have to be Smarties. I've always loved Smarties, and I quite often get a large tube on my birthday or even at Christmas to this day. A jewel thief made off with $28 million of gems in 2007 because he was able to gain the trust of the guards working at the bank in Antwerp, Belgium, by repeatedly offering them chocolate. That's quite a funny fact. I'm sure that will be one of the funnier facts that we have on this video today. In 1930, Ruth Wakefield mixed Nestle chocolate pieces into her cookie dough after running out of Baker's chocolate whilst making chocolate cookies. Instead, she created chocolate chip cookies and later sold the idea to Nestle for a lifetime supply of chocolate. That is a really cool fact. One of those times that a happy accident occurs. Sometimes that's all it takes for something to accidentally happen, but in doing so, produces something worthwhile and different. And it's great that she was able to sell the idea to Nestle, and I believe that Nestle to this day make amazing chocolate chip cookies. American chocolatier Milton Hershey was actually a caramel mogul before he started his legendary chocolate brand. Yeah, even though I come from the UK, I have heard of the very famous chocolate brand Hershey's, and I'd love to taste it to compare it to popular brands here such as Nestle, which I was just talking about, and also Cadbury. I think they would be the two most popular brands here in the UK. Certainly the two that come to my mind when I think about chocolate brands. Americans buy 26 million plus kilograms of chocolate on Valentine's Day. That's 5% of Navy SEALs. Inventor Benjamin Franklin was reportedly a big fan of the sweet stuff, and even sold some chocolate of his own. One in every 200 workers, or around 17,000 people in Belgium, work in the production and promotion of chocolate. Terry's produce over 350 million chocolate orange segments per year. Yeah, Terry's chocolate orange is another very popular brand of chocolate. It's not one of my personal favourites, but I do enjoy an occasional Terry's chocolate orange. But I would have to say that orange chocolate, it wouldn't be very high up on my list. The famous Chocolate River from the original Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory in 1971 was made with 15,000 gallons of water mixed with chocolate and cream. The river spoiled fairly quickly, however, due to the cream, and the film's cast said that the smell became almost unbearable. You know, somehow I just had a feeling that this fact would be included in the list. And again, being a pretty big movie buff, I was aware of this fact. I love to read trivia about movies, and I enjoy learning more about what went on in the making of them. And this was one of the facts that I've read before. The Chocolate River looks amazing in the movie, I have to say. It's one of my all-time favourites, and it's just a shame that it's spoiled so fast. And I can imagine that the smell would be really terrible once it did spoil. But visually speaking, it does look amazing in the movie. There are two types of cacao tree. Most chocolate comes from Forastero beans, which are said to be easier to grow, but the Criollo bean makes much tastier chocolate. Napoleon Bonaparte loved chocolate and demanded it be available at all times, including during military campaigns. He sounds like he was a real diva. In fact, anytime I've seen him in movies or heard anything about him, he's been pretty demanding and certainly a very sort of difficult personality, so I think it's not a real huge surprise that he was so demanding that chocolate be available during military campaigns. I just have this image of him chowing down on some chocolate whilst giving some sort of motivational speech to his troops. On December the 6th, during the Feast of St. Nicholas, children in Holland put their clogs outside at night so Santa can fill them with chocolate money. The biggest chocolate sculpture ever made was a 10-foot high Easter egg weighing 2,034 kilograms in Melbourne, Australia. Chocolate can cause headaches and is not recommended in large doses for people suffer from migraines or chronic headaches. I don't get headaches from chocolate to my knowledge, but I do think it can cause acne flare-ups. I'm not sure if that's a myth or a fact. I'd have to look into it, but I think it may be true. I find that if I eat a little too much chocolate, it can cause slight itching. But again, I'm not sure if that is a common side effect, or maybe it's just in my mind. July the 7th is National Chocolate Day in the UK. The day marks when chocolate was first brought to Europe on July the 7th, 1550. Some credit Christopher Columbus with this feat in 1504. I wasn't aware there was a National Chocolate Day in the UK. How strange is that? I'll have to definitely celebrate it this coming year with a big bar of maybe Mint Arrow or something. And that is actually one of my very favourite brands. I love any kind of mint chocolate. I think that they just complement each other so well. Eating dark chocolate widens arteries and promotes healthy blood flow that can prevent the buildup of plaque that can block arteries. Wow, that's really surprising, and I'm definitely going to have to up my level of dark chocolate intake in that case, as it's pretty much at zero right now. But I don't dislike dark chocolate by any means. I'm just much more partial to milk or white chocolate. The world's largest box of chocolates weighed in at 908 kilograms. It was made in Chicago, USA, and contained Frango mints. And finally, chocolate is harmful to dogs and cats due to the toxic component in theobromine, which can easily be metabolized by humans. Dogs and cats, however, can't process it as easily as humans can, which lead to higher levels of theobromine in their bodies. These levels can make your pet very sick or even kill them. So no matter how much your furry friend wants your chocolate, be sure to never give it to them. And I think you'd be surprised how many people don't actually know this fact. I had a friend who wasn't aware of it, and I happened to be with him one day when I caught him giving his dog a little bit of a chocolate bar he was eating. And I had to explain that you can't give dogs chocolate. And he said that he had been feeding small bits of chocolate to the dog for a very long time with no side effects. But thankfully, they were very small portions. But once I explained, he was relieved that he hadn't given the dog more. So yeah, you have to be very careful. And it's best not to give them any at all. Not even if they are, staring at you with their little puppy dog eyes. And as for cats, well, I don't think that cats are particularly interested in chocolate, to my knowledge. They pretty much love any kind of meat though, so I know when I had cats, I couldn't move for cat eyes fixated on me when I was eating any kind of meat. Well guys, that is just about it for this Whisper Facts episode all about chocolate. I hope you enjoyed the facts contained within this video. I know I did, and it's really put me in the mood to go and grab a chocolate biscuit or something, as it's around lunchtime when I'm just finishing up this video. But yeah guys, thank you so much for joining me, and I'd really appreciate if you hit the like button and consider subscribing if you haven't done so to help support the channel. It really does mean a lot. But once again, thank you for joining me, and until next time, rest easy, sleep well, and I hope to see you again very soon for another video. And goodbye for now.